Welcome to the 107th edition of Make Pro Wrestling Majestic again. I am still your champion, Tigerhite. I didn't have to defend it.
And I'm Peanut Gallery.
So, we have a couple of different things for the show and a very special presentation that we're going to be testing out. But first, let's get on my soapbox because there's a lot to talk about here. For obvious reasons, Raw and NXT went down in ratings and demo. The only reason that is because of the two final games, which were on Monday and that Tuesday.
Yep.
So, Raw, even though that they had that competition, they still held out pretty okay. It was a 1.595 compared to the 1.828 million. So not too bad as a part of viewers. The demo was the one that hurt the most, which was a 0.43 instead of a 0.56.
Which is understandable considering where most of that demographic went that night.
Yes, that was the NBA Finals,
yes.
Correct? Just for instance, there were 13 million people watching those, and it was a 3.98 demo. Like, that's stupid, but it's the NBA Finals. They really kind of were on the fence as it relates to this show. It kind of felt thrown together. Obviously, they're not going to do anything big. Well, they did. They had a tag team title match with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. I literally switched their names.
Jesus.
Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn beating Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser. I think Giovanni Vinci got hurt at some point in time. So that was the original match, was those two. You know, Riddle and Priest for Money in the Bank was good. I just have no idea who's going to be cashing in Money in the Bank. The two that I think are going to be the most viable options at this point, at least for the men, are going to be LA Knight and Damian Priest.
Yep.
Because there are scenarios with those two that would make sense.
Yes.
So I think they're going to try to do something there. There was a whole lot of nothing in a lot of areas. There was also one thing I do want to point out before we move on, because a lot of the other stuff was fine, and obviously Rhea Ripley getting the new women's world champion is good, but I want to address the Seth Rollins fans singing the entire segment with Finn Balor. Finn Balor cut a great promo about Seth Rollins, and making me looking forward to the match, but my God, the singing the entire time, it was just too much. And obviously, WWE cannot control the fans, and they're going to do what they do, but it ruined it.
Yeah.
It really did hurt what I think Finn Balor was trying to convey, because he's trying to take it seriously.
Right.
And then doing the entire segment was just so bad and completely not necessary. But everything else at that point was a nothing sandwich, so it's whatever. Let's go into NXT. Obviously, it's down. It was a 581,000 compared to a 615,000. It was a 0.16 demo instead of a 0.17. So, not too bad. It actually held up okay.
Well, yeah, because not too many people are watching it to start with. Not as many as Raw.
Right.
But
well,
obviously, NHL Finals, ratings were down.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But I thought it was going to be a lot worse than it was. So, them holding the same sort of numbers, is a testament to the power of now NXT, because now NXT is doing okay. Braun Breaker will be facing Seth freaking Rollins for the World Heavyweight Champion next week, I think. It's either next week or the week after.
No, it's next week, I think.
Okay, so in a couple of days.
Yep.
I was not expecting it. I think it's going to be obviously very good because Breaker is on a whole other level.
Yep.
And I think they're just trying to beat AEW at this point. I think they're like, AEW's hurting. We need to do this. Let's hit them where it hurts. Obviously, they're not going to move from Tuesday to Wednesday, but they're going to really bump up NXT something fierce right now. And I wonder if this is maybe a little bit of an experiment as it relates to Braun Breaker on the main roster. It would be a big gamble for him to go up there. Roxanne Perez and Tatum Paxley's match was an absolute fucking disaster. I have no idea what happened with these two. They had the coordination of an elephant on a trapeze. Like, it was horrible. I have never seen anything so bad. And Roxanne Perez usually puts on good stuff. Noam Dar, I'm not sure if he's actually hurt or not because they took the Heritage Cup off of him. But he didn't even wrestle, or Omensa wrestled. So I think he's actually hurt, and they needed to get the trophy off of him. But once again, why have the trophy at all?
Right.
There wasn't a whole lot outside of that. I mean, you had Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza attack Scripps and Axiom after their match, so they're back on NXT. I think that's actually a good spot for them overall, because right now that tag division needs some serious TLC, and I think Los Lotharios would be a great addition to that. But other than that, there wasn't really a whole lot there. Thea Hale and Cora Jade once again was an absolute mess, but it's really hit and miss with the women's roster right now. Oh, Dynamite. You have no excuse now. You had nothing against. 832,000 compared to 903, and it was a 0.3 compared to a 0.33.
Cool.
There was no competition.
Yep.
There was no ambiguity.
Sports, right.
Nothing. You had nothing. People are not buying what you're selling at this point. And adding another show ain't going to help you, even though I actually like that show better than this one.
Okay.
Adam Cole and MJF had a good opener. This was a pay-per-view quality match. It's almost like if you waited until a pay-per-view and build a nice rivalry, AEW World Champion, instead of an eliminator, you would probably be in a better position overall.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Despite that, 832,000, that's a significant drop. Like, that's almost 100,000 people saying, I'm not going to watch it this time. What the hell?
I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that there was a certain match on this week. Wait, no, that was on Rampage. Never mind.
Oh yeah, no, that's on Rampage.
Oh yes, I thought the 6-person tag was on Dynamite for some reason.
No. There were other 6-person tags. BCC versus the Elite once again. They did it again.
Oh my fucking god! Nobody fucking cares.
I think they're setting up for Blood and Guts because they had Eddie Kingston come out and Konosuke Takeshita come out, and they're setting up 5 versus 5, and I'm like, I don't care at all because they're just gonna put a bunch of people together. Like, that's not what this is supposed to be. Also, is Konosuke part of Blackpool Combat Club? I have no idea. The 8-man tag, I think, is right behind me, was an absolute fucking disaster. It was a mess. Sammy Guevara trying to be a babyface just does not work for him. He is a smug little ass. Have him be a heel. Like, seriously. That's where he fits the best. Also, Sting and Chris Jericho. That should not be a rivalry at fucking all. They're both old and they both need to retire, especially given this 8-man tag, because Sting was fucking garbage. Just in general.
Well, then there we have it.
Anyway, let's go into Impact. Obviously, I couldn't find anything. I found stuff last week, but I couldn't find it this week. I'm going to assume it was still hovering around, high 90s to 100 on this. Kind of cool seeing Chris Sabin with the world champion finally. He mentioned about his training for a lot of people, including Seth Rollins and some of the people that you would think Alex Shelley helped train them when they were young. Just think of how long this guy's been around.
Yeah.
And
he finally gets a world title.
Yep. The main event, though, was an absolute clusterfuck and a total mess. I have no idea why they thought putting in 3 guys, 2 girls, setting it up over one night, and then having the match was going to work. It was not going to work. It was very inconsistent as it relates to it. ABC took on Decay in an absolute nothing. Obviously, the build of the rivalry with Scott D'Amore, with Bully Ray and Steve Maclin has been built well, but him wrestling,
He's old and fat.
Yeah,
he's old and fat like Chris Jericho.
He's a big dude. Like, seriously. I mean, PCO was going to carry the match. And it's fine because I'm excited for the match. But at the same time, you could have done something maybe a little bit different.
Right.
Instead of Scott D'Amore not being the president anymore and then him wrestling. Like, what the hell? SmackDown. We had some big preliminary numbers. 2.278 million compared to 2.226 from last week, and it was a 0.6 demo. So still a very strong demo, but, they didn't have any sort of finals going up against them this week. Obviously, it was number 1 in cable. The storyline of the Bloodline, and now Jey Uso betraying Roman, people lost their fucking minds. I lost my mind, and I knew it was going to happen. Jey Uso needs an Oscar at this point. I think everybody does. Like, seriously, everybody within this Bloodline thing, hit after hit after hit. I don't think I have seen a bad Bloodline segment in a year.
Right.
Like, seriously, everything that this group touches is turning into gold every single time, and I just absolutely love it. I really do. Io Sky and Zelina Vega was a nothing sandwich. If that was to promote the women's Money in the Bank, it did not do well. The gauntlet match was good. I really liked how they had the other teams sit on the outside of the ring and then go in there as soon as the match was over. It reminded me of the Cruiserweight Open that way back in the day. And Pretty Deadly won, and that match will happen in 2 weeks when they're in London. So, obviously, they won. I love Pretty Deadly. I think they're one of the best teams right now in WWE, and they really got to continue to promote them because they are just hitting it on all cylinders. Grayson Waller, I want to talk about him. Grayson Waller is good. I like him on the mic. I like the Grayson Waller effect in general. But the thing is, since he showed up on SmackDown, he has had 0 matches. And I think that that's a criminal because he is good in the ring. And I think that it's criminal that they're not having him do the other part of being a wrestler. And then finally, LA Knight continues to be incredibly popular with the fans. He lost the match, but people lost their minds when he came out. It was crazy. And that's kind of why I really want him to win Money in the Bank because he is that popular. And I think he would be great as a champion.
Yeah.
Which one? I don't know. Is he the one to beat Reigns? I don't know. Maybe. I doubt it, but maybe. Finally. Well, actually, you could do something with that, but I'll talk about it later.
Before we get into it, we're going to be talking way more in depth about Collision. So we might want to wait until we come back from this.
I'll say overall. I'll say in general, I like the show. The returns were good. The matches were good. I did like some of it. There was some that I didn't. There was definitely some that I didn't.
But I guess we'll go in detail with that once we come back.
Absolutely. So that is my soapbox for the show. Let me know what you guys thought of all of the shows in the comments down below, wherever you're listening or watching us on. And join us here next for more of a breakdown of Collision.
Yep.